Hello everyone, this is ETV Special Edition and I'm Santayo Tamrat with this edition. With this edition, I'll try to focus on the COP27 Climate Action Summit which was going on in Egypt, and I am here joined by Dr. Abtam Itafa, Minister of Water and Energy of Ethiopia. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll try to focus on the concerns Ethiopia raised during the COP27 summit, and also the challenges the African countries are facing in regarding to implementing the climate action projects, as well as how the donors as well as private sector and industrialized country governments are implementing or delivering their commitments to the developing countries. Thank you so much for joining me, and do stay with us. Thank you so much, Dr. Abtam Itafa, Minister of Water and Energy, for joining ETV Special Edition.
Thank you so much as well for inviting me.
Let me just say welcome back from Egypt, from the COP27 Climate Action Summit. And how was it going?
Thank you so much. As we know, the COP27 is being held in Egypt, Sharm el-Sheikh. We from Ethiopia, a delegate led by His Excellency Prime Minister Dr. Abiy Ahmed, has been there starting from Sunday afternoon. And we have been working there with high-level engagement for the first 2 days. And it was really a very successful time we had.
Well, that's nice. And was Africa's need for immediate climate action and measures taken reflected during the summit?
Yes, we can say that. Actually, the first day, especially on Monday, the half day was on the plenary session, where the directions and all international leaders have been having some ceremonial issues. Then after afternoon time, there has been a parallel session where high-level discussion has been held, round table, on different topics, especially on food security, on energy from energy, green hydrogen specifically, on the issue of financial support for European nations, on the issue of water scarcity as well, and the impact on the community. These were among the parallel sessions that has been held by different financiers and by different head of the nations or delegates who have been parting there. So all of them, I can say, the issue of climate change with respect to developing nations, where they have no contribution for the impact, but they are the ones who are suffering from the impact, has been addressed in most of the sessions. That is how it was going on.
Well, and have the developed countries and private sector been implementing or just delivering the promises they entered, because it is just the African countries or developing countries that have been highly affected by climate change, global warming kind of issues, and have they been just implementing the promises they entered?
Honestly speaking, we don't really say they have successfully implemented the promise that has been made so far. Had it been so, the impact from the climate change, the climate variability, couldn't have been created so much disaster in developing nations. If we see in Asia, if we see in Africa, in Ethiopia, we are facing critical challenge that has been exposing our people to different problems, either from drought or from flood. So during the problem from the climate impact, these developed nations, the response was not so much. That's what we have been seeing. One or the other way, on the round table discussions, this has been also reflected. For example, Ethiopia has been participating on the food security round table discussion, where I participated on behalf of His Excellency Prime Minister. The developed nations like the Netherlands, Sweden, and Ireland, they have been the member of that round table. And they really said developed nations didn't move to the level they are required to do that. That is what we clearly have understood from the discussion as well. So with what we see on ground, what's happening due to the impact of climate change that people are suffering, and also what the leaders are saying today, it was, or we can clearly say, the commitment is not to the level that has been said at different forums, at different levels, that has been said earlier time.
So do you think that it's possible if the global community, particularly those developed nations as well as financiers, donors and the private sector is just continuing this way, trying to hold the promises or the commitments they are promising every year in such summits, that countries like African nations could extricate from poverty and also minimize or reduce the suffering from climate change and global warming?
I think they should not continue, and they should also understand if they keep on withholding any support that they should do for developing nations, the impact will spill over to them. When there is an impact in one country and there is less chance for the youngsters for job opportunity or for employment through the appropriate development concept here. So what they face is they will face migration. Those people migrating to their specific country will be, without any question, will be impacting what they should have. They shouldn't have faced before. This will force them. The second one, if we see globally what's happening on today's, the issue is energy dependency from fossil fuel to alternative energy. That Ethiopia is really blessed with that. This also is forcing them to change their direction. Among the critical topics they have been talking was, everyone was trying to say, dependency on energy is creating the inflation on life, on people, even on the developed country. So it is already knocking at the doors of each of the developed nations because of the change, what is going on using the fossil fuel. This fossil fuel, in one or the other way, has big impact on our climate because the carbon emission is high. So the developing nations are free from that, and then they have the potential to develop energy source with less carbon emission, or we can say no carbon emission at all. So investment is must, and the developed nations should understand that, and I think that is one of the parameters that will force them to keep on their promise.
What do you think are just the major challenges continents or developing world like the African faced during implementation of the climate action?
I think though we can mention a lot of them, I can say number one is the capacity of developing renewable energy is one of the area, because when we are talking of climate change, by the way, one or the other one, it is directly related to energy sector, because this carbon dioxide, which is a big threat to the globe today, it comes from nowhere. One or the other one, it is just the output of certain energy production. We can start from normal our vehicles, from fuel to big industries, to big energy production sectors. So one of the very important one is really to develop renewable energy that is minimizing the carbon emission that has been done. The second one is working on greenery, as we are doing currently, by the way. That has been also need to be appreciated, and though many countries have accepted also the experience from Ethiopia. This will minimize the carbon dioxide that is already in the air. So to do this, one is the capacity that matters. So nations, countries, leaders need to get devoted, need to mobilize appropriate resources for this one. So developing nations, they lack this one. So to make the developing nations capable of producing such emission-free energy source or any agricultural sector, whatever we name them, the developed nations need to support, the development partners need to support to strengthen the Africans to stand on their feet and then work for the future.
Well, that's good. And what was this major concern Ethiopia addressed on the COP27?
Yeah, the major concern we addressed on the round table during the discussion, the topic is actually food security. Though it is food security, one or the other one, where it is automatically talking about water and energy. Because there is a climate variability. When there is a variability, there is no rainfall. When there is variability, even so the rainfall is there, we used to face high intensive rainfall that is consequently in flood. So people have been talking. We need to work up on natural source, that is water. The second one is after producing our agricultural production, there should be a mechanism of processing and the transportation. The processing and transportation is still energy dependent. Whether we are producing with rainfall or with agriculture, with irrigation, the way we process, the way we transport again will matter where we talk in terms of climate. So Ethiopia has addressed two critical points here. Number one, the wheat agricultural practice, which recently our Prime Minister has initiated and successfully we are achieving good result, is climate resilient with variety. So that is one of the critical points and try to share to the other globe, where we could produce 3 to 4 times per year, and the productivity is about 5 to 6 fold per hectare. This means it has a lot to mean. When we have climate variability, we don't have to run away, but to create resilience that plays in terms of production. That is one of the points we try to address. The second one is with utilization of renewable energy. For example, when we are working on the agricultural production, we need additional water. When you utilize additional water, we need to work upon pumps. These pumps need to be dependent upon solar rather than diesel fuel. The recently launched DREAM project is what we try to share them. The DREAM project is utilization of the groundwater with solar pumps and then commercializing of the farmers, where private sector engagement with renewable energy approach, utilization of the resource is one of the good examples we shared. So on that platform, Ethiopia, Kenya has been taken as really a good example and that needs to be followed. So we could share that and achieved a good practice to be shared with our neighboring countries.
Ethiopia has just achieved a very good success in terms of its Green Legacy initiative over the past 3 years. And what has to be done in order to give this success an African shape?
Yes, we could achieve planting of about 25 billion of seedling, which is really a wonderful success. And few people even really they couldn't believe because they don't know the size of the land, the population, and the commitment from our leadership and us, the people at all. So when we tell them, they want to learn more. They want to know how about it. So one of the good examples we have is not planting a tree. That planting tree has a meaning. It should be edible. So we need to also supplement the food security. For example, the avocado seedling, the mango seedling, it has multi-purpose. One thing, it will restore the catchment, the soil, the land. It will develop even our water source. And by the time of its maturity, our people will use that one for production. So they need to learn this one in such a way that it will be even supplementing from household level to the global level. In Ethiopia, yeah, we have been doing a lot of all these issues. A neighboring country need to scale up that because one or the other way, we share the same people with all our neighbors, the same culture, the same ethnic background, the same religion, most of them. And also beyond that, we share the same water, the same resource. So the water that we take here in Ethiopia needs to be maintained in our neighboring countries as well. It is not really to blame Ethiopia to say, okay, Ethiopia needs to develop the water and release for them. They have to also take in that way. And I think about 2 or 3 of the countries, they are already in good move. The other ones will keep on learning from what Ethiopia has been doing in the last time on the green legacy issue.
Well, let me just get you back to Egypt on the COP27 summit. And we know that Egypt has been just for decades now trying to use every opportunity like these global summits, regional summits, to buy the session to promote its own agenda, its national interest, particularly in relation with the Nile or Abai River. And do you think it did use this summit for making its usual cries and taking away their historic rights of over the Abai River and so on?
Actually, the summit is a global level issue. The topics, the agendas, and the points needs to be addressed by each leader, by each member country. Actually, we better say all. It's globally. All need to talk in terms of a global topic, global agenda. So really, we didn't see anything significant that they could do that, but we don't dare to say they don't do at all, because by any option they get, they may lobby the financial supporters, especially the partners like the World Bank, the African Development Bank, and the IMF, and so on, or political leaders who have one or the other way have stake such kind of institutions. They may approach from the Egyptian side. The very important issue is that really a reasonable topic, what they will try to pick to convince the people. This day, everyone is already aware what Ethiopia has been doing, and the concern the Egyptians are doing is totally in the way that what we are doing is in the way that the world is expecting, whereas what the Egyptians saying is not true on ground. So we can say significantly they didn't show such kind of move, but informally, for sure they may do that, anyhow, which may not be acceptable in most of the leaders as well.
What do you say if I give you the chance to send a message to the international community about what they should know about the truths of Ethiopia in the usage, administration, and sustaining the ecosystem of the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam?
Yeah, thank you very much for this opportunity. Globally today, especially on the agenda of COP27, it was the issue of climate change, where either we do have excess water coming untimely and destroying the life of our people, the property. The second one, either we miss water that we need for our agriculture. That means the climate is disturbed, there is disorder. Ethiopia is trying to reverse such kind of problem by investing on the water development. So Ethiopia needs to be supported and acknowledged for what we are doing. Second one, globally, still the water is not enough in every country, if we can see, because the population is growing, resources the same. So there should be a mechanism of supporting water-saving mechanisms, water-saving technologies. These are depending upon the availability of our energy, which will be helping us to minimize the water loss, either for agriculture or for other purpose. Ethiopia is also doing some kind of leading work, which we started now. So I really request the international community to understand what we are doing and to support us. Final point was related to our Great Ethiopian Dam. That is what I was saying to energy. It is a must for us to develop the energy to make our people survive, rather than migrating to abroad and then making troubles also to our people when they are moving around. So it is better for the international community also to support development of our energy sources that will help us achieve our prosperity and our neighbors as we are working upon our cooperation with our neighboring country. By the way, when we are cooperating with our neighboring country by exporting energy, we are decarbonizing the energy source, the energy utilization in our neighboring countries, and this shall be understood and supported. Thank you very much.
Now let's be specific to the energy sector, and how do you explain Ethiopia's effort and commitment to developing and using renewable energy sources as part of its green development strategy?
Yeah, actually it's a good question also, including our Great Ethiopian Dam. What we have been developing so far, the past years, is all of them are from hydropower, where it is green energy source. Next to that, the potential is wind and solar. That is also what we are moving on by attracting private sectors. So the government, the private sectors, and individuals are also welcome for development of such kind of energy. That is what we are moving. So not only developing the energy, but we are creating also fertile ground to attract the private sectors from abroad or from inside to work upon development of the energy. For that, we have good policy, which we already operated, and soon will be endorsed by our cabinet, and that will be helping that. Not only developing this kind of energy and having fertile ground, still we are working to interconnect with our neighbors, with Kenya, with Sudan, with Egypt, with Djibouti, with South Sudan, and even with Egypt, we have a long-term master plan that it will be interconnecting the whole region, and it will help us to distribute green energy to our neighboring country, where the issue of climate change, which we have been even discussing now, is the issue of carbon emission. And in our neighboring country, the countries that most of them are using fossil fuel, where it has high carbon emission, when we are sending the hydropower, which is carbon-free, it will be minimizing such kind of dangers. So that is what Ethiopia is really doing as a big master plan, starting from a few years, maybe 2 or 3 years back, and then we are moving on such kind of status.
And the progress at the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam and other hydropower or just renewable energy sources development?
Yeah, with the progress of our energy, this year we are really actively engaged in solar development. For example, if I re-mention again, the DREAM project. DREAM project is a distributed energy for agricultural management, where we are utilizing solar in different projects in Ethiopia. In Oromia, it's about 5. In Amara, it is in Oromia it is 3. In Oromia it is 4. In Amara it is 3. In Southern, in Sudan, in Sidama, and in Southern 1. Totally, we have such kind of project that we are moving on. That is really a new initiative using solar energy. The previous ones are all the hydropower projects, including our GERT, which is successfully moving as per our plan, as per our desire, where we have clearly shown in the last times, even in the GERT filling of the dam, generating of the first phase, the 2 turbines, which have successfully accomplished. So currently we are moving also, proceeding for the same action by this Ethiopian fiscal year as well.
Then what's your feeling on the Ethiopian electric power announcement that the testing of power transmission to the Ethiopia high voltage direct current converter station?
I think really as a Minister of Water and Energy, I feel proud, and I would like to say congratulations also for EP, for Ethiopians, and for our Kenyan brothers again, because that is what we are striving for. When Ethiopia is getting development energy, it's not only meant for Ethiopians. It's also more blessing for our neighbors. That is what we are showing. So it will really strengthen the collaboration that we can have our Kenyan brothers, and also they could enjoy from our green energy source that we are doing. Because the Kenyans also last time in our round table, His Excellency the President was saying they are committed to go for food self-sufficiency by developing their water source, and then especially on the packing of agricultural product. So they need energy. Our energy will have a stake in every Kenyan's household, and that will make us Ethiopians the whole feel proud. And I would like to say once again, thank you for them and for all of us again.
And finally, anything that you'd like to say regarding the climate action implementation?
Yeah, just one point to add. Climate change is this day is a global agenda. It's all about survival of all nations. Nothing we can throw to someone else or one nation to the other one. But the developing nations are paying more price, because the developed nations, they have been developing all the resource, and currently we are paying for the impact. So still my call is for international community to stand by with the developing nations and to assist. Ethiopia is one of them who is trying to strive to develop carbon-free energy source that for the nation and for our neighboring countries, and that is my call I have for all of them, for the international community, especially the donors, to support and to work upon us.
Dr. Habtamu Itafa, Water and Energy Minister, thank you so much for joining ETV Special Edition again.
Thank you, Santayo.
Dear viewers, thank you so much for staying with us, and this is a conversation with Dr. Habtamu Itafa, Minister of Water and Energy. Thank you again, and see you another time. I'm Santayo Tamrat with this edition.